Okay, so this is part 2 of our video. Now, here we have a nice little diagram. I'm going to explain what this diagram is. Now, one of the objections to Dr. Craig's argument that we've been talking about is, you didn't begin to exist, whatever, or you're not a thing in the relevant sense. And so Dr. Craig responded by saying, look, I didn't, exist in the 12th century, and I exist now. I mean, are you saying I've always existed? And the response has come that that's not a very honest response from Dr. Craig. That he's ignoring the central point of the argument. Now, he's not, and he gives us a really great explanation on his website. He says, look, the fundamental confusion is obviously the conflation of a thing with the material out of which the thing is made. Because the atoms composing my body have always existed, have I always existed? Did I exist during the Jurassic Age in the era of galaxy formation? If such a confusion is not evidently absurd, reflect. I have certain essential properties without which I could not exist. For example, it is essential to me that I am a human being, while my atoms prior to my conception were not a human being. Therefore, they were not I. So, what Craig's got on the go here is a direct attack on the mereology that Sisyphus Redeemed talks about. This is focusing right in, okay? And he goes on and he says, look, medical science tells us that every 7 years the material constituents of my body are almost completely replaced by new ones. So prior to my conception, what set of constituents that have formed my body over my lifetime were me? All right, so let's look at the diagram. Here's Dr. Craig. This is Dr. Craig 10 years later. And this is Dr. Craig 10 years later. And you'll notice he's got a little bow tie on. I'd put little suspenders on him, but I don't know how to draw those on a stick man. But never mind. So here he is. Okay. Here he's in grad school. Here he is finishing his second PhD. And here he is debating Christopher Hitchens. Okay? We'll say. Just an example. Different spots. Now, at this point, right here at this time, Craig is made up of atoms. Dr. Craig is made up of this set of atoms right here. Here's A1, atom 2, all the way up to A to the N. However many atoms. That's a set of atoms that make Dr. Craig up. 10 years goes by, and here's Dr. Craig again, still got a little bow tie on, and he's again made out of atoms. B to the 1, B to the 2, all the way to B to the N. This is a second set of atoms that makes up Dr. Craig. Okay? 10 years goes by. And now here's Dr. Craig again, slipped on his little bow tie on. And now here he is again. It's a completely new set of atoms. C1, C2, all the way to C to the N. Now, it may or may not be the case that all your atoms are replaced. I'm going to say, look, all the atoms have been replaced. Now, it might be that some of your atoms don't. Almost all of your constituents are completely replaced, he tells us. So maybe, some of my eyelashes weren't, or I've got a couple of brain cells that weren't completely replaced, or I got some hair follicles. I didn't cut my hair in, 30 years. But we're going to go out and assume that Dr. Craig's been cutting his hair and that his eyelashes have been changing and whatever else. Okay? So on that view, here we go. Look at that. That's a set. Now we've got a completely different set. Now we've got yet a third set. Now, we've got 3 sets of things that have been Dr. Craig. Does that mean we've got 3 Dr. Craigs? There's Dr. Craigs just about in the universe somewhere because there's this set of atoms is still around, this set of atoms is still around, this set of atoms. No. Why? Well, the clue comes when he says there are certain essential properties that are true of him. What's essential is not the particular atoms which make him up. What's essential is this. The essential properties that are true of Dr. Craig. That's what matters. So there are certain things, that he's a human being, that he's a natural-born male, his particular DNA code, the memories that he has, his personality. Those things are essential to him, and are true of him. Those are required of Dr. Craig. Okay, he's got certain essential properties. If the collection of atoms that made him up ceased to be human, it would cease to be Dr. Craig, because Dr. Craig is a human being. So what he's got on the go here is he says, look, These three atom sets are not me. I am not the atoms. I am what properties. I am the thing that has the properties which are formed by the matter, by these things. So we can replace them. In fact, we could even mix and match if we wanted. Some of these atoms might come back on the C. This one, you might have A, then have a completely different set B, and then have C, which is just a mixture of A and B together. You mix a little of A and a little of B, and you get a new set of atoms, and those form Dr. Craig, and as long as it's got those essential properties, you're good to go, and you still have Dr. Craig.